Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Ev. Let's see how this looks. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Ev, and today I am going to be sharing with you guys how to respond and not react. And no, they are not the same thing. I don't know if I want to call this like an emotional regulation technique. I guess it has to do with emotions, but I don't know if it's regulating your emotions specifically. Maybe I'll say that it's like a conversational regulation technique. I don't know, because I don't think responding is necessarily an emotion, but I do think that you have to get your emotions in check so that you can respond. You know what I mean? This is a technique that I learned in therapy, but I'm not a therapist. However, I do know where you can find one, and I would like to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. You guys know I have been a longtime partner of them, and this video is in collaboration with them, so thank you for keeping your girls' bills paid. If you have been struggling lately, whether that be difficulty sleeping, trouble in a relationship, or just suffering from low self-esteem, BetterHelp is here to help you on your mental health journey. I know for me now, lately, I've been working on boundaries just because I need to be a more effective business owner, and I need to be an effective everything else that was going on in my life. So friend, daughter, you know, just different aspects of my life are shifting, and I need to prioritize them correctly. And I know therapists can help with that. A new term that I learned lately is enmeshment and disengagement. They are things. This is a thing. Anyway, get into therapy, okay guys? And the easiest and most convenient way to do that is by going to BetterHelp. They have their own online system where you can log in at your earliest convenience. This is a private online environment with over 20,000 licensed therapists and professionals. So if you're dealing with something highly specialized and the therapist might not be available in your local area, they are probably on this platform. When you first log into BetterHelp.com, you can fill out a questionnaire based off your specific needs, and you can be matched with a licensed therapist in less than 48 hours, which is awesome. You can schedule a video call or a phone call with your therapist, whatever works with your schedule, and you can exchange unlimited text messages so that if you're in a pinch, you can hit them up, and everything you share is confidential, which is amazing. Now, if for whatever reason the first therapist you've been paired with does not work out, or you think somebody might be a better fit, you can pivot and switch at any time with no extra cost, which is awesome because I think you definitely need to date your therapist, figure out the right person for you, and move forward. Don't keep trying to force something that might not be resonating. So it's great because this makes it simple and easy, and you don't have to go through the whole process like all over again with somebody new. So if you are interested in joining the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health, then definitely join the BetterHelp experience and get started. Today, if you use my code, which will be linked down below in the description box, you can get 10% off your first month. So that is www.betterhelp.com/Evannie, again, for 10% off your first month. So I have my notes here, and this is something that I learned in therapy. I think it is beneficial for all people. That's the thing about getting into therapy, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say about therapy, but that's the thing about getting into therapy. I feel like some people think that you need dramatic issues or like severe problems, or you need to be addicted to something to be in therapy. That is so not true. Even if you don't think you need therapy, you might need therapy. You know what I mean? Because there are certain things that have happened in my life that I didn't even know this was called a thing. So just having that increased awareness about what's going on around me has helped me navigate my life a lot better and optimize my time, because again, I didn't know certain things were called that. And even just to articulate myself, like having the language to get out the things that I'm feeling or trying to process, you know? So it all helps. And this is something I'm gonna share that hopefully will help you. So how to respond and not react. Reactions are usually, at least for me and a lot of other people, trauma responses or just knee-jerk reactions. Exactly that. They do not have any thought associated with them. It's really just like a well-worn neural pathway in your mind, so that you kind of just react like there's no thought, there's nothing. It's just, this is what my body does, this is what my brain thinks, this is the default mechanism, and this is what blurts out and this is what happens. And so in order to get out of that kind of reaction, you want to respond. Now, in order to respond, you have to do like a process of different things. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, I can replace the reaction with something else. Like, no, it's a whole thing. So the first thing I have written down is to pause. Period. That's it. That's it. A lot of reactions can die down, right? It could be like a surge, like an emotional surge. And then it's like, okay, well, pause at the peak so that you can come down back to a baseline of somewhere that is a little more rational. When you get extremely emotional or when like emotions are high, you are not in your rational mind, and it's really difficult for you to respond in this heightened emotional state. So you need to come back down and rebalance yourself. That's the first thing. So pause so that you can like lower the emotion and come back to a baseline. Number two, within the pause, right? You're not actually saying anything to anyone else. You're just talking to yourself. I talk to myself all the time, but you're talking to yourself and you're saying, did I actually hear what they meant? So a lot of times I will ask for clarity. I will ask for repetition. I will repeat back what they said to see if we're on the same page. Because a lot of times I think people can have we're having two separate conversations right now. You said this and meant that. I reacted like this and meant that. And both of our egos are just all over the place. You know, it's like, that's not it. That's not it, right? So I don't want to get into like attack and defend and, you know, jab, none of this, right? None of this. And I'm not talking about actual physical fighting. I'm also not even talking about arguments. I'm talking about energetically, stuff can get hurtful and you're still sitting there just talking. You know what I mean? So paying attention to what they actually said. Like, were you actively listening to the person, or did you take it a certain way and then react based off of your interpretation? So I will pause, I will bring myself back to baseline, and then I will ask, what did you mean by that? Or what was your intention in saying this? Or what is it that you're trying to convey? Whatever, or could you please repeat yourself? Like, what does that mean? Because my interpretation of it and how they intended it could be two different things, right? Number three, once I've gotten clarity on what the person meant, then I respond from a place of having thought it through. So if I need more time to process, I'll take it. Take the time. Take the time. Take the time. Do not just blurt out what comes up, because a lot of times people are just waiting to speak. They're not actually listening. And if you're just waiting for your turn to get out whatever you're trying to say, you're not, again, having the same conversation. And there's no progress here. There's also no understanding. And again, this is energetically, there's no understanding. So in order for me to actually meet you where you're at and see if we can make progress in this conversation, I need to know, right? I need to know that I've processed this. Processing can look like a lot of different things for different people, because we all have different childhood traumas, emotional wounds, relationship baggage, whatever it is. Process what you're actually going to say, because I think people who blurt stuff out and just free talk all the time, they're not really people that need a microphone. You know what I mean? They're not the people that need to be on screen or with channels. It's like you're literally just word vomiting, like whatever pops into your head or whatever sounds good from Instagram or whatever you can parrot back from TikTok. That's not it. Process what it is that you're trying to say so that you can be effective and so that you can be concise. So a lot of times people will overfill conversations too with other stuff. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Hopefully, if this is a respectful conversation, you will get heard and you will be listened to effectively. but you kind of have to put that energy, lay that groundwork first, so that when you do respond, it is received in a much different way. So, hold on, let me check my notes. Pause, bring yourself back to baseline. And that could just be like count to 5, you know, count to 10, whatever it is. 2, ask what the person meant by that so that you can gain clarity on like whether or not you guys are on the same page. 3, process your response and what you are going to say instead of just blurting out what comes next, right? And processing can look different, and it can take however long it needs to take. Even if the response is, I need some time to process this, I'll get back to you. We're just gonna table this for right now, but I don't want you to think I'm skimming past this. Whatever it is, take the time, process your response. And then 4, right, do it effectively and non-defensively. Sometimes your ego just wants to get the other person back. You're not actually responding to what they said. You're trying to jab at them like they or you perceived that they jabbed at you. That is not effective. And it is also very defensive. It's not non-defensive. So all of these things will bring the conversation and hopefully your emotions back to a respectful baseline so that you can effectively communicate, right? So that both of you have an understanding and so that you're having the same conversation. Because people process their lives and their world differently, I think this is something that you can use in all conversations, whether that be with your family or your friends or romantic relationships, whatever that is. Communication is something that does need to be worked on. It is not a skill that everybody is naturally born with. You can work on it. And if that is the case, this is where you start. This is where you start working on it, because it's not going to be that easy in the beginning, but it will be more effective and non-defensive. And the last thing I want to mention, number 5, is speak from your heart. It does not have to be a super profound PhD level, I really want you to get my side of things. It doesn't have to be super sophisticated. What I understand about communication and relationships is that it is more energetic than it will ever be verbal. And that comes from body language, it comes from eye movements, it comes from micro expressions, and you can pick up a lot of different things just based off of your past experiences. They said what they said based off their past experiences. You are now going to respond out of your past experiences and knowledge at this time. So if you want someone to actively and effectively understand you, that comes from a heart place, that comes from really, that comes from really understanding the energy, which might require some people to be a little bit more empathetic, but understanding the energy that's in the conversation and then speaking from the heart, speaking from an open heart, not trying to intellectualize everything. Now, I did say process, do process, that is important, but process the emotions behind it, process what it triggered in you, if it triggered anything, and then also process your response so that you're not taking jabs at people or you're not having a different conversation with them. So that is it. That is the technique. It has worked wonders in my life, at least for people I'm communicating with. And then it also helps me highlight how many times I'm not listened to and people are just waiting to talk. You know, they're not effectively doing any kind of communication on their end. And so the conversation itself will be a lot more difficult because they're not giving the time and space to process things that I said either. You know what I mean? Even people that just overtalk you. Why do you feel the need to cut me off and overtalk me? You know? So again, let's recap. 1, pause, bring your emotions back to baseline. 2, ask for clarity because what you heard and what they meant might not be the same thing. 3, make sure you process your response. 4, effectively communicate, non-defensively communicate. It does not have to be a PhD level answer. And 5, speak from the heart, because energetically, people can pick up on whether or not your heart is open or whether or not your defenses are up. And that's it. I think that this video hopefully will help you in your communication and your relationships in the future. So thank you so much for watching. Again, don't forget to check out BetterHelp in the description box down below. And remember to let your spirit, soul, and hair stay lifted like an Afro puff. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.